Hey y'all, thanks for tuning into another video. This is how to interrogate reality. So you've heard me time and time again say that part of the healing process is to interrogate reality. And then I realized as I went back and listened to some of my content that I haven't actually explained what it looks like to interrogate reality. And it's such an important part of the healing journey that I thought, what a great how-to video to record. And so when we are interrogating reality, what we're actually doing is getting curious, because everything that we think, everything that we feel, and every assumption that we've made is not reality. It's a story that we're telling ourselves. And so what feels like it's real isn't always, but it is an opportunity for us to get curious. So when things are happening, when you're trying to determine if you're bringing old wounds in, or if your wounds are speaking the story instead of the actual reality that's in the room, there are some steps that you can take in order to interrogate the reality of the situation. And the first one of those steps is to collect data on yourself, because oftentimes we let our thoughts run wild and we don't take those captive as we're biblically told to do. We let our feelings become facts, even though we know that what we could feel one day, maybe we don't feel that the next day. We let our emotions run rampant, and we take those emotions, and instead of just feeling them and then processing and coming to a realization, we feel them and continue feeling them, and or stuff them and don't feel them, and so they just get bigger and bigger. And so if we collect data on ourselves, we ask ourselves questions. We say, what story am I telling myself in this experience? And oftentimes we'll find that we've made up some things, that we've used what we deem data, and we've said, okay, well, that is the reality of the situation. But some of that exists from the past because it's what we've always been shown or what we've always known to be true. And some of that exists from, well, it looks like my light has cut off, but that's okay. But some of that exists from the past because it's what we've known or what's been shown to us. It's the narrative that has been fed to us. So it's not necessarily the truth of the situation, but we tell ourselves that it's the truth. But when we take that first step to collect data on ourselves, we take a balcony view of the situation, of ourselves, of how we're responding, asking ourselves questions. Is this a me thing, or is it a them thing, or is it an us thing? Does it actually exist? And what you'll start to uncover is there are stories that you're telling yourself based on your wounds. There are stories that you're telling yourself based on the narrative that's been fed to you. And there are stories that you're telling yourself based on the existence that you have in the world today, that you are the way you are, so you assume that other people are the way that they are. And or the way you are, actually. And so we make assumptions about people that aren't true. We make assumptions about our feelings and our emotions that aren't true. And so we create this reality. But when we collect data on it, we're able to say, okay, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at what I'm telling myself. I'm going to figure out where it's coming from. And I'm going to collect data on why I feel the way I feel and where that's actually rooted. And then the next thing we do is look for the facts, because the facts are sitting right in front of you. But if you're accepting that your feelings are facts, then you're going to miss what's actually real, because feelings are valid, but they're not always factual. There's a space for you to feel the way you feel, but it's not always a fact, because sometimes your environment can affect the way you're feeling. You can be overwhelmed and say, I'm a horrible mom, but that's not a fact. You're just overwhelmed right now. And that feeling has caused you to create a truth that doesn't actually exist. So we look for the facts. Remembering that our feelings aren't facts. Remembering that our assumptions aren't facts. remembering that the facts are what actually exists in the space. That's it. The fact is, I'm really overwhelmed right now. The fact is, my overwhelm is making me feel like a horrible parent. The fact is, 90% of the time I don't operate in this space, so I can't be a horrible mom. And the real fact is that most horrible parents don't question their parenting. So we have to look for the facts. And then, lastly, we have to tell ourselves the truth. Because the truth is what will set you free from the situation. The truth will allow you to operate in the space that is real because you've interrogated the reality of the situation. You're not putting words and thoughts and patterns into other people's heads and mouths. You're not creating a narrative that existed from your past or from your current or from the assumptions that you're placing onto other people. You're just telling yourself the truth. And the way that has shown up for me before is because I've had that wound where I felt like I wasn't enough. When I walk in a room, I would hear what I thought people were judging me for. Whether it be my body, whether it be, the way that I entered the room, whether it be where I sat, whether it be how I dressed, whether it be how I greeted people, etc. I would make up all of these narratives that these people were saying to me and no one had said a word. And then I would feel like I was being judged and I would feel like I wasn't good enough to be in the space. And I would feel those feelings of imposter syndrome because of the narratives that I'd created for other people. Now, where did that even come from? It came from a childhood where when you walked into a room of a family function, people would openly say the things they were judging you for. You look like you've gained weight. Look how fat you are. Look at how much food is on that table, etc. I heard this my entire childhood. So of course I would assume that other people are placing judgment. And then that narrative became my internal narrative. So consistently I was always saying those same things in my head to myself. So of course I'm going to make the assumption that other people are saying those same things about me. But when I collect data and I say, okay, what's a story that I'm telling myself? Did anybody actually say the things that I just made up in my head? And what exists from the past? Where have I seen this before? And then when I look for the facts, I can say, you showed up in a room and people said hello to you. And you sat in an open seat. You didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. And if people are making those assumptions or are making those judgments, that's a them problem, not a you problem. And then I told myself the truth. You are worthy to be in this space. You are purposed to be in this space. You picked out the outfit that you're wearing because it felt good to you. Your body is beautiful regardless of what the beauty standards are, etc., etc. So that now when I walk in the room, it still happens, but I'm able to take myself through those steps so that I don't believe it to be true. And so what I hope for you today is that you practice the interrogation. You practice saying, what is real? And what do I need to talk myself through? And if you need to have a journal or a voice recording, etc., every time this happens, in order for you to really look at it from an external stance, because it really helps to scale back and look at it from a balcony view because you can see it differently than when you're standing in your own body. Whatever helps you to do that, write down the thing that is happening. Write down what actually exists in the space and then talk yourself through it. Why did I believe that to be true? Is it connected to something from my past? Is that a story that I'm telling myself? Did someone actually say these words? And you'll find that interrogating reality will help you to understand yourself, understand other people, and walk peacefully in life without creating the chaos externally that exists internally within you. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, like and subscribe to this channel. Go to my socials. I'm on TikTok now. Follow me there for more content. And as always, knowledge gained and kept to yourself is selfish, but knowledge shared with the world could just be the catalyst they need for change, for them to be able to walk in freedom. So share this message with somebody who you think it would resonate with. And thank you again for tuning in. I'll see you again next time.